cost of goods and services keeps on increasing in Zimbabwe as the local currency depreciates against the United States dollar. Salaries have largely remained stagnant, leaving many workers scratching their heads. Statisiwe Gwaza gives us more in the following report.
The United States dollar usage has steadily increased in Zimbabwe. Most shops are now selling their goods in the greenback. Just a few, particularly big retailers, are accepting the local currency. For workers who earn in local currency, they find themselves in a catch-22. Their salaries in local currency have remained stagnant as the exchange rate continues to gallop. And the critical question is, how can workers plan under such circumstances?
So salaries are also moving in tandem with that percentage increase. And consequently, what we now have is a blended ratio is tended to go down. More and more employers now inclined to pay either whole US dollar or USD benchmarked salaries.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa says plans are underway to expand the country's fertilizer industry with opportunities for foreign investors to participate. He was speaking earlier today in Harare after receiving a consignment of fertilizer and wheat from the Russian Federation. ZTN Prime's Faith Nyawudi attended the ceremony and compiled the following report.
For the past 2 decades, Harare and Moscow have been at the receiving end of sanctions by the West. During this period, the two nations have not only managed to endure the unjustified onslaught, but strengthened their relationship. Now, President Mnangagwa is hoping that the long-standing bond can evolve to the next stage.
Our country looks forward to broadening the scope of partnerships with the Russian Federation to develop irrigation capacity as well as modernize our agriculture sector. Additionally, we stand ready to leverage our collective expertise and the resources to implement best practices to achieve the sustainable growth of agriculture productivity and agricultural value chains in our motherland, Zimbabwe. As such, the strong bilateral relations between Zimbabwe and the Russian Federation must continue to result in multifaceted benefits, extending beyond food security to knowledge exchange, technology transfer, and capacity building.
The Kremlin's top diplomat to Harare noted that relations between the two countries were on solid footing.
Such a remarkable event highlights the excellent bilateral relations between my mother country, Russia, and my hosting brother country, Zimbabwe. At the same time, it demonstrates the great potential of the multilateral joint efforts applied in coordination with the United Nations through the World Food Programme to ensure food security in Zimbabwe, in Africa, and around the globe.
The government of Zimbabwe is working with the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development so that the country can benefit from e-commerce. Speaking at a workshop to assess the country's readiness, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Mangaliso Ndlovu, said the program will advance the country's digital infrastructure.
Of the government of Zimbabwe to express our gratitude to UNCTAD for roping us into their e-commerce and digital economy program. This robust thrust is specifically aimed at supporting developing countries to harness e-commerce and the digital economy for sustainable development through strengthening their e-commerce enabling environment by way of demand-driven e-commerce strategies and action plans. Boosting digital readiness in support of robust digital economies and trade has become an imperative for inclusive, equitable and sustainable development for all global players, in particular the developing countries.
FIFA have confirmed that Warriors youngster Tawanda Chirewa was withdrawn from the Warriors squad for the Invitational Four Nations tournament in Malawi this week. According to the football governing body, Chirewa's withdrawal was due to personal reasons. The 20-year-old is a fringe player at EPL side Wolves and is understood to be planning to use the international break to fight for a place in Wolves' starting 11 ahead of the last 10 matches of the season. The Warriors are in Malawi for the Invitational Four Nations tournament, which includes the hosts, Kenya and Zambia. They will play their first match against Zambia on Saturday at 2 p.m.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo pa ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.